as I'm ever gonna be. Let's do it, girls. Let's knock this out of the ballpark. Let's do this on the first motherfucking try. I'm about ready to be game on. My name is Liz Stetson. Leather designer to the stars. I'm a leather maker / leather designer. I'm in a company called Vintage Liz Leather, and it is handcrafted leather accessories like watches, belts, wallets, bags, cuffs, bracelets, and anything in between. I just don't do clothing. I have no idea how other leather people do their shit, but since I'm self-taught, this is how I do it. And because I'm a one-woman little sweatshop, I stack it up to do it as fast as I possibly can because I hate doing it. I couldn't have gotten to the business of buy and sell. Oh no. I had to be a handcrafted business. Oops. Sometimes I feel like that one show, How It's Made, on TV. Now this process right here, kids, is me sealing the leather so that when you purchase it from me, you won't get dye on your pretty little skin. However, if you do, because I use water-based eco-friendly dye, it'll come off in the shower. My childhood was fantastic. My father is a minister, and he was very much I was born in 1974, so he's very much a 1970s like Pentecostal, on the road, evangelistic type preacher, whatever. And they moved us. He decided to plant a church in Lima, Ohio, which is the armpit of Ohio. Don't recommend anyone ever going there for anything. But he planted a church there, so we moved there. So I lived in a great house. I had a shit ton of like neighborhood kids, and we had a very creative and fun I mean, my childhood is like, I could write a book on my childhood of like how awesome it was. It was great. Except for the fact they were preachers, I will say, because you can't be a preacher and have a normal life. In my previous life, I was a minister for 18 years. And I thought that that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. However, clearly I'm gay. And about 8 years ago, I was a senior pastor of a church here in Dayton, Ohio, and they wanted me to come out because they wanted to be proactive rather than reactive, the board and et cetera, and knew that I was gay. So I did the whole hoopla of getting up on Sunday morning for 2 services and came out to my congregation, which was the most frightening thing I've ever done in my entire life, and I went to piss on myself and puke all at the same time. It was received like pretty much a 50-50 split, but as I tell people all the time, whether you like it or not, a church is a business. And so he who holds the most money wins. And the older part of the congregation, I will say, would be more conservative. They were not happy about this revelation. And so, you know, she had people leaving. It would, you know, that means their money's just whatever. And so literally overnight, you know, the board came to me and said, we love you, we think you're great, but you got to go. And so I lost literally everything. If you're in ministry, it's already a man's dominated world. Women preachers are not taken seriously, and they're very few and far between. So on top of now I'm a woman minister, and I'm gay, and I'm single, and just like everything, you want to throw in there, I have a daughter who's biracial. Like I'm just the whole hot mess of probably unemployable for most churches.
So, did you get married?
Yeah.
How old were you when you got married?
I got married when let me think, when did I get married? When I was 25. I had said my entire life growing up as a preacher's kid that there is no way to hell I'd ever be anything in the ministry because I've seen that, no way. You know, my dad, and everyone says I'm his mini-me, but that's a whole nother story because we have a very strained relationship after the whole church business. But I said I would never do that because he was a very high-stressed out, edgy. I mean, he came from nothing. He did the best that he could do, but, you know, whatever. Anyhow, so I didn't want to be like him. I didn't want to have anything to do with the church. Church people are some of the most fucked up people. Well, they're people. I mean, they're people. Gotta remember that. They're people, but they do some tacky shit sometimes. But anyhow, I said I would never do it, but somehow I got dragged into it when I was 18. So, and that's about the time that I was like, I really think I love women more than men. But when you grow up, and I didn't grow up in a church that was like hellfire and brimstone and God hates gay, and I didn't even grow up like that, but I did grow up just like men and women should be together kind of thing. And so, you know, when you're gay, obviously it's not a choice. So you have to come to that point where you somewhere down your road realize, I really just don't like the dick, I like the women. And so that was going on when I was about 18, about the same time that I was starting to go into ministry, but I put so much of my attention in ministry and you know, once again, you're a woman, so you got everything going against you, and following in my father's footsteps, I also had everything going against me. So but I got into it, and then it just seemed like the natural thing to do was to get married to a man. So I had a guy that I hung out with, and I do not want to talk about him, we're not talking about him on this video, but I hung out with him for 5 years, and then finally I was like, well, I guess this is just who I'm getting married, but there was like nothing going on there. But the shining part of that is a few months after we got married, I got pregnant, and so I had my daughter, and so that was the good part of it. So yes, I was married, but I was only married for a year because I said, I love the women's.
So you came out to yourself a lot earlier than you came out to everyone else.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I definitely, it's really interesting, and it's interesting because straight people don't get it. You literally have to go through the process of living your life and then realize one day that some woman looks attractive to you, and then you're like, or that you, and you do, it's really weird. And then all of a sudden you realize, I can remember, I feel like every gay person can, or queer person, I can remember sitting on the edge of my bed saying, am I gay? No, I am not gay. I am gay. And you know, and having to come to terms with it. So yeah, I had to come out to myself first and deal with all of that. And all at the same time, I'm in ministry and I'm like, well, I can't be gay and be a preacher. And so like all that, and then finally, you know, start coming out to other people. Like any other queers thing they have to do. It's a process. I have always been artsy and creative and that kind of thing, and so I started making these wooden purses called woodies, and the handle was an old vintage belt. I go to thrift stores and get them. And I was sitting around waiting one day for the stain to dry, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna make myself a cuff. So I made myself a cuff out of the leather belt, and I just wore it, and one of my friends was like, can you make me one? And I didn't know how to set snaps or anything, but I figured it out. And so I met this chick. She was already an artist and making things and selling them, and she was like, go vend with me, and I didn't even know what vending was. So this is why I was a preacher, but I had no idea once again what I was doing. So I got together my leather bracelets and what have you, and some of my woody purses, and went and did this 3-day festival. And that weekend, which that's crazy, that's like what I do for a living now, but that's like a real festival. And then that weekend, I made over $3,000. So yeah, so that's how I got into it. When the church, you know, fired me, and to be honest with you, I was really pissed and bitter at the church, and I still am a little bit, but you know what? Jesus loves me, but leather saved me. That's my little tagline. But anyhow, motto for life, not tagline. But at that point in time, it was so dark, and I just really, I just didn't know what to do. I mean, honestly, but I can remember being in my bed and crying nights and nights and nights, being like, what the fuck am I gonna do? And this is what, all the while, you know, like, money's just dwindling, and I'm like getting down to like literally dollars to my name. So I decided, you know, I did this show and I made this much money. I don't have any idea how this technically works, but I'm going to try it. We're rolling. In 5.
So you do leather work now, and you did ministry in the past. Would you ever go back to ministry?
Here's my deep philosophical answer on that one.
Well, that's what I always tell people when we get on the whole, I was a preacher, and they're like, they're like, whatever. And the first, one of the first things that they say is, I don't believe in God. And I was like, okay. I said, well, don't believe in God. I was like, but believe in something. Believe in a fucking tree if you want to believe in a fucking tree. Because if you don't believe in anything, then you're never going to have hope. And if you don't have hope, then you're never going to have faith. And you've got to have faith in things. You've got to have hope. It's what keeps us going. So don't want to believe in God? Psh, okay. But now if you do want to believe in God, which I've kind of like changed the word God to universe over the last probably 4 years since my dismissal from the church. Not because I don't believe in God, but because I kind of am starting to see the entity of God as more of just a universal thing. Like, God is a tree. God is, everything. But whatever. When I was struggling with absolutely 110% knowing I was gay and wanting to come out, and then I went on this weird ass fucking family vacation. We all rented cabins at Burr Oak, which is a state park by Athens, Ohio. And I will never forget one afternoon laying on the bed in one of those cabins by myself and saying, okay, God, I am totally and completely over it. I want a local girlfriend. I want to live my life. I'm done. I'm going to get a girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. Well, I had scheduled coming back from that trip. It was supposed to be over on Saturday morning. We were supposed to leave, and I had a wedding to do. I did not want to do it. I was looking for every excuse to cancel. And I got to that day, and I was like, I can't cancel on these people. So I had to leave the vacation early. I get there, and guess who I met that night? Christina. And she stalked me, and she said, I didn't think anyone knew I was gay then. That's kind of funny. She said, I got there late and I wasn't even going to go to the wedding. And I got in the front row to take pictures. And then all of a sudden, I started taking all the pictures of you because I was like, are lesbians allowed to marry people? And I wasn't out then. Then she stalked me at the reception. And then I found out like a couple days later that she lived next door to my parents' house because she had just moved in. And then 9.5 years later, ta-da. But isn't that crazy that I sat on that bed and was like, I want a girlfriend. I'm having a girlfriend now. And for the first time, I just like came home and ta-da! She's also was the one that like helped me come out. Well, made me come out. She was like, "You're." I was crying all the time because like we were keeping it a secret. And I was upset all the time. She was like, "Just tell your parents." No other girl would have been that adamant about it. So I did.
Maybe there is a point in time that my story and my life can help other people that are going through, the process of coming out. I think that the next chapter, could be that. Because, in selling leather accessories and getting kicked out of the church, the great thing that's happened over the last 6 years is I found, who I am. And if you had seen a picture of me 15 years, if you've seen a picture of me 8 years ago or whatever, and who I am today, you would not see me dressed, in a blazer and in a tie, and my hair would not be like this. But this is actually who I am. This is me, very comfortable and very and feeling great about myself. And so all that had to happen before anything else over here can happen. So would I go back to ministry? Yes, but not in the way that I did it in the past. And do I feel like ultimately that's my purpose here in life? Yes. Did I answer that?
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Okay.